Case number 03-CRS Willen 87, filed March 4th, 2003. Double homicide, 412 Watown Street. I should have turned it down. I didn't, of course. 22 years in and you stop turning things down. The rotation says it's yours, it's yours. Public defender appointment, Darnell Mosby, age 31, no priors beyond a misdemeanor trespass that got nolle prost. 2 counts first-degree murder. Victims were Thomas and Rita Chalmers, retired, renting the downstairs unit at 412 Watown. Landlord found them Sunday morning when the newspaper was still on the porch by noon. The file was about 2 inches thick, which for a double homicide meant the state thought they had something. Hair match, fiber match from a jacket found in a dumpster 3 blocks south. Partial shoe impression consistent with a size 11 New Balance. Same model Mosby wore at booking. Close enough that the DA's office was talking life without parole at the arraignment. I met Mosby at the Forsyth County Jail on a Thursday. Conference room 2. Metal table, 2 chairs bolted to the floor, that smell they all have. Disinfectant and warm electronics from the camera in the ceiling corner. He was quiet, polite, stood up when I came in, which most of them don't, said sir twice in the first minute. When I laid out the charges, he looked at the wall behind me and said, "I didn't do that." That's it. I didn't do that. No elaboration, no alibi, no story about where he was. I pushed gently the way you do in the first meeting, and he shook his head. "I just didn't do it, Mr. Gaines." Then he asked me about the food and holding. I filed the standard discovery motion. Everything the state had: responding officer's report, ME's preliminary findings, forensic workups, and 36 crime scene photographs taken by CSI technician Lowell Pratt the morning of the discovery. 35mm film developed at the State Crime Lab in Raleigh, returned in a sealed evidence bag, catalog number 2003 FC0847. The first viewing was April 1st. Property room, basement of the Forsyth County Courthouse. Officer Delgado, property room custodian, retrieved the bag. I signed the log. He signed the log. He broke the tamper evidence seal, which I photographed before and after. I've done that since 1996. A mislabeled blood sample cost a client his alibi, and I swore I'd never trust someone else's documentation again. I carry my own camera. Back then a Canon PowerShot, 4 megapixels. Delgado laid the photographs out on the viewing table. 36 prints, color. I went through them one at a time, left to right, top row to bottom, and I photographed each one with my Canon. The scene was what the report said it was. Living room of the downstairs unit, 2 bodies on the carpet near the sofa, overturned coffee table between them. Glass top, intact, just knocked onto its side. Window on the east wall, closed, blinds drawn. Television on the stand against the north wall, screen showing static. The place looked interrupted, like someone had been sitting there watching TV and then the world ended. Photograph number 14. I almost didn't notice it the first time. It showed the east wall at a wider angle. You could see the window, the edge of the sofa, and a wall clock above the light switch. Plain white clock, black hands, the kind you'd buy at a hardware store for $9. The clock read 8:47. The CSI tech's report, Pratt's notes, which I'd read twice by then, stated that the unit was entered at 11:15 p.m. after the responding officers secured the scene. The bodies were discovered that morning, but the crime scene unit didn't process it until evening. 11:15 p.m. entry. The clock on the wall read 8:47. Well, clocks stop. Clocks run slow. Clocks are wrong in half the houses in this country. I made a note on my yellow legal pad. Photo number 14. Clock reads 8:47. CSI entry 11:15 p.m. Discrepancy. Stopped clock. And moved on. I had 35 other photographs to review and a motion to file by Friday. I packed up my Canon, thanked Delgado, signed the exit log. He resealed the evidence bag with a new tamper evidence strip and logged the reseal. I walked back to my office with my briefcase in one hand and a styrofoam cup of courthouse coffee in the other, and I remember the taste. Burnt, with that chemical aftertaste that comes from a pot that hasn't been cleaned since the Clinton administration. I transferred my comparison photos to a labeled folder on my office computer and backed them up on a CD-ROM. 36 images of 36 evidence photographs. Everything matched the report. The clock was a footnote. The case was routine. I had no reason to think otherwise. 2 weeks later, I was back in the property room. I'd filed a motion in limine to exclude the shoe impression. The partial was ambiguous, and the state's expert had overstated the match in the report. Standard defense work. But to argue it, I needed to re-examine the crime scene photographs that showed the kitchen floor. Delgado pulled the bag. New tamper evidence seal. He'd resealed it after the first viewing, logged properly, both digital barcode and paper form. I signed in. He broke the seal. 36 photographs. I laid them out the same way, left to right, top to bottom. I had my Canon and my photos from the first viewing on the camera's memory card for comparison. I almost missed it. Photograph number 9. Wide shot of the living room from the doorway. 2 bodies, carpet, sofa, coffee table. Except the coffee table was upright, standing on its 4 legs, with 2 mugs on it. In my photographs from 2 weeks ago, the same shot, same angle, same evidence tag number visible in the corner. The coffee table was on its side, overturned, no mugs. I had stared at that image for 20 minutes during the first viewing. I remembered it because the glass top was intact despite being knocked over, and I'd made a note about it. Possible stage scene. Glass should have cracked on carpet with that weight. I pulled up my photo on the Canon's little screen. Overturned. I looked at the evidence photograph on the table, upright. 2 coffee mugs. One had a dark ring inside it, like someone had been drinking from it. I asked Delgado if the photographs had been accessed between viewings. He checked the log, digital and paper. No, they'd been in the sealed bag in the property cage since April 1st. He showed me the resealed documentation, time-stamped, initialed. The barcode scan matched. I told myself I was misremembering. Photographs looked different under different lighting. The fluorescents in the property room were uneven. One tube in the fixture above the table had been flickering since my first visit. Maybe the shadow pattern had confused me. I took my new comparison photos and left. But I looked at my Canon photos that night, 3 times. The table was overturned, in my photos, and upright in the evidence photos. The evidence tag number was the same in both. 2003 FC0847 Juzo 9. 3 weeks after that, mid-May now, I scheduled a 3rd viewing. This time I brought Karen Odom, my paralegal, 12 years working with me, unflappable. I told her I needed a second set of eyes on some evidentiary inconsistencies. I did not tell her what I expected to find. I didn't know what I expected to find. Same bag, new seal, Delgado broke it. Photos came out. Coffee table, upright, mugs, still there. But the window on the east wall, photograph number 14, the one with the clock, was open. Not slightly. Open. Curtain pushed to one side, daylight visible through the glass even though the crime scene was processed at night. The curtain looked like it was moving, caught mid-swing, in a photograph. The clock read 8:49. I had noted 8:47 at the first viewing. I'd written it on my legal pad. I went back to my briefcase and pulled the pad. Photo number 14. Clock reads 8:47. My handwriting, my date. April 1st. Now it read 8:49, 2 minutes. Karen was standing next to me. She had my Canon photos from viewing one on the camera screen and the evidence photo side by side. I watched her face go flat. Not scared, not confused, flat. The way a person looks when they're deciding not to process what they're seeing. The window was closed, she said. Yes. The table was knocked over. Yes. She put the cannon down on the viewing table and didn't pick it up again for the rest of the session. I filed a motion challenging the chain of custody. 3 pages, single-spaced, every discrepancy documented. Judge Hayworth denied it in 4 sentences. The chain was impeccable. Every log was signed, every seal documented with photographs. The digital barcode system and paper forms corroborated each other at every checkpoint. There was, the judge wrote, no evidentiary basis for the defense's assertion that the exhibits have been compromised. He was right. The chain of custody was perfect. That was the problem. Karen quit the following Monday. No 2-week notice, no exit interview. She left a note on her desk, 1 sentence on a post-it stuck to her keyboard. It said, "I will not look at those photographs again." I kept her post-it. It's in the file. I understand the sentiment. The 4th viewing was June 11th. 8 days before the trial date, I went alone. I'd spent the previous week preparing jury instructions and organizing exhibits for the courtroom binder. Normal work, mechanical work, the kind of work that keeps your hands busy and your mind away from the property room in the basement. But I needed to review the photographs one final time for my cross-examination of the CSI tech, and there was no way around it. Delgado was there. Same table, same flickering fluorescent. He pulled the bag, 4th seal now, each one documented in the log with a Polaroid of the intact seal before breaking. He was professional about it, always was. Broke the seal, laid the bag open, and stepped back. I put on the latex gloves. I pulled the photographs out one at a time and arranged them in the grid, left to right, top to bottom. I had the Canon on the table beside me, loaded with every comparison photo from the first 3 viewings. Photographs 1 through 8, living room angles, coffee table upright, mugs on it. That was expected now. I'd stopped being surprised by the table. Photograph 14, east wall, window open, wider than last time. The curtain was fully pulled aside and the clock read 8:52. 5 minutes from where it started. 3 minutes from the last viewing, as if time inside the photograph was moving, slowly, at a pace determined by something I didn't understand and didn't want to. Photograph 23. I need to be precise about this because precision is all I have left. Photograph 23 was a shot down the hallway from the living room. Pratt had taken it to document the entry path, front door, hallway, into the living room where the bodies were. In the first 3 viewings, the hallway was empty. Bare walls, carpet runner, a light fixture on the ceiling that was off. Empty. In this viewing, June 11th, 2003, approximately 2:40 p.m., property room of the Forsyth County Courthouse, Officer Delgado present. The hallway was not empty. There was a figure standing at the far end, near the front door, facing the camera. The image was clear enough. Not a blur, not a shadow, not a trick of the development process. A person, standing upright, hands at their sides. They were wearing an orange jumpsuit. Forsyth County Detention Center issue. I knew the shade. I'd seen it every Thursday for 3 months across a metal table in conference room 2. I did not look at the face. I started to, and I stopped, because I recognized the posture, the way the shoulders sat, the way the hands hung. And I knew that if I looked at the face, I would have to put it in my case notes. And if I put it in my case notes, I would have to explain it. And there is no explanation that fits inside the rules of evidence. I placed photograph 23 back on the table, face down. I completed my review of the remaining 13 photographs without incident. I signed the log. I thanked Delgado. I walked to my car in the parking deck and sat there for 11 minutes with the engine off. Mosby took a plea. Exhale. I negotiated it the following week, 25 to life, concurrent on both counts. He signed the plea agreement without reading it. He looked at me and said, "You saw it." Not a question. I didn't answer. The judge accepted the plea. The case was closed. The evidence was returned to the property room for the mandatory retention period. I sealed my comparison photographs, all 4 viewings, 144 images, in a manila envelope. Wrote on it, "Mosby personal reference do not open." Put it in the bottom drawer of my filing cabinet. Locked the drawer. I did not open that envelope for 6 years. Last day in this office. 26 years of case files boxed up. The movers come tomorrow. I found the envelope in the bottom drawer an hour ago. I shouldn't have opened it. I know that now. My photographs from the first viewing, April 1st, 2003, show a coffee table standing upright with 2 mugs on it. The window is open. The clock reads 8:52. And in photograph 23, there is a figure in an orange jumpsuit standing in the hallway. My photographs, taken with my camera, on the first viewing. When the table was overturned and the hallway was empty, they changed. Not the evidence photos, mine, the pictures I took, the digital files I backed up on a CD-ROM 6 years ago. I checked the disk, same images, same timestamps, different content. Case file, People vs. Mosby, 03 CRS 1187. I'm leaving these photographs with this recording. I'm leaving the CD-ROM, the post-it note from Karen, all of it. Whoever reviews this file, don't study photograph number 23. I looked at it for too long tonight, and I could swear the clock had moved again. The recorder is off now.